Hello, everybody. Yeah, welcome to the last panel of the dance music event 2021. Yeah. Let me welcome Emanuel Satie today, and today we're gonna talk about him, his career, his life, and about music. And just to disclaim, we don't have like a structured plan. We just see where this discussion goes. And if you have questions, you can raise your hand, and we can really just do an interactive talk together. So, first of all, Emanuel Satie, is this your real name? And who is behind the name Emanuel Satie? Who are you and what are you doing?
It's a very deep question to start.
Yeah, of course.
It's not my real name. Emanuel is my. Oh, was that me? Hello?
Kind of sound like a balloon. Like, okay, we can.
Everything fine?
All good. Good, man.
Okay.
Okay. Bin ich irgendwo drangekommen?
I don't know.
Okay, sorry guys. Yeah, it's not my real name. Emanuel is my real name. Satie is it's just a reference to Eric Satie, the composer. My real name is Menzel, which is not as sexy as Satie. So.
And you are not from Berlin directly.
No.
You were born and raised in Frankfurt, but now you live here in Berlin. So why did you move?
Well, many reasons, but the most important reason probably was that I had the opportunity to work with DJT and Get Physical at that time. And it was a time where in Frankfurt I was just kind of starting out, trying to make my way into the dance music industry, and had a couple of releases here and there, but nothing really happened. Couple gigs here and there locally, and then I got the opportunity to release on Get Physical, and DJT asked me if I wanted to do some studio work with him, some engineering. Which, then I did. So for some time, I was just for 1 week, a month, I went to Berlin and was working in the studio with T. And at some point, he said, "Why don't you move over? You're here all the time. We could do even more work together." And that's what I did. And kind of the money I made with this engineering and a couple gigs here and there were enough to sustain a living here. So. Yeah, and I mean, I always had a fascination with Berlin anyway, so, yeah.
So, how did music start for you in the beginning? Like, where did it all come from?
Well, I was always into music. Like, I mean, every musician is pretty much the same story, right? It's usually the record collection of your father or your mother or your some sort of parent, and we were forced as kids. We were forced to play an instrument. I chose the cello, and then the bass guitar later. And I didn't really enjoy it, to be honest. But but it kind of laid the foundation, I guess, in understanding harmonies and melodies and stuff like that. And when I was a teenager, I started to rap, and this is where I got really passionate about music, and I was just writing lyrics all the time. Cool Savage, in case there's somebody from Germany, Cool Savage was my big inspiration, so you can imagine the kind of lyrics I was rapping as a 13, 14-year-old.
So did you record some of
Actually I did, yeah, but
some YouTube videos.
No, it luckily disappeared. There's no. I couldn't find the recording anymore. But I think it's probably for the better. And and then club music I only discovered by being able to go out when I was like 18 and going to house music events, and all of a sudden I was like, this is amazing. Everybody's so friendly. People are smiling, hugging each other. It's such a different vibe to to the hip hop clubs I went to before, and just fell in love with house music, and immediately knew that I, in some way, shape, or form, I had to do this, you know, and was collecting records, collecting vinyl, and at some point I met somebody who said, "Well, you have all these records, but why aren't you a DJ? Why don't you DJ?" Well, because I don't know how to do it. It was YouTube tutorials were not really a thing, and he showed me. So for 1 year, every weekend, religiously, we went to his kind of basement and we're just spinning records and practicing, and yeah, that's where the fire was lit.
How would you describe your own music?
My own music.
Yeah.
Well, it's somewhere between house and techno. It's I would say it's warm, organic. It has to. For me, it's really important that it works in a club, but also you could listen to it at home or on the way to the gym or whatever. This balance was also always very important, and yeah, that's as good as I can describe it, really.
So you're often in the studio. How does your production style, or let me phrase it, how does your workflow look like? Do you start a track and you touch nothing else but this track before it's finished, or do you have like a lot of different ideas? Like, what's your style?
It's complete chaos, to be honest. Yeah, it's always several projects going at once, and then you get a remix request and you have to do this, and yeah, I mean, sometimes I usually make progress very fast, like in a couple of days, or sometimes 1 day, 2 days. I pretty much have the track fleshed out, but then it's a lot of re-listening, testing it out in a club environment, and yeah, it can take quite some time for it to be finished, and because I like to jump in between projects to kind of keep some objectivity also.
Oh yeah. How many projects are you having? Like, do you have
right now?
Yeah, laying around in your storage?
Okay, let me count. Probably at the moment, I would say around 5 or something. Yeah.
Oh right, yeah, but it's fairly like alright. It's like not like 20 or 100 ideas that just floating around.
I mean, I have probably 100, but there's only 5 I want to finish. The others is just something I started and then whatever.
So your process also looks like that you just sometimes have an idea, spin it around your head. You go to the studio and then start something, and then like half an hour later you say, no.
Yeah, I think that's actually very, very important, is to be able to abandon a project when you just see this is just not very good. Because I guess we all know the feeling. Sometimes you just make something that's immediately great, you know, just because the idea is great, and you almost can't fail then, you know, you just need to execute the arrangement and the mix down and all that stuff. And sometimes you have something that's kind of interesting and you try to make it great, and it takes you weeks, and then in the end it's still kind of average, you know. So I think it's very, very important, if you realize, okay, to make this good, it's gonna take me weeks of work, is just to say, nah, I'm gonna start something new, see if I have a better idea. That comes more easily.
So when finishing a track, do you send this out to labels you want to release, or do you always have your labels you like to release, or you're on your own label?
It's a mix, I would say. Like sometimes you agree with the label, hey, let's make an EP together, we'd like some music for you, and then you specifically make something for this label. But I think it's actually, I like to work the other way around and just make something that I really like and then see which label could work for that. Sometimes when I try to really stick to a label sound or something, then I don't think enough about what do I like, but I try to think what does the label like, what fits the label, and that kind of limits me a little bit. And
Do you think, like, what's your take on producing for labels or not producing for like a certain label? Do you?
yeah, I mean, pretty much what I just said. I think it's probably best to just do something that you like, that you think is really great. And if you want to make music for a label, like if that's your goal, to land on a specific label, or if a label asks you for music, then sure, you can kind of try to, in your sound design choices, try to go near that label. But I think you should always, super important to just always listen to yourself and ask yourself, what do I like? What do I think would be great now? And yeah, so it's a very tricky balance, I think.
Like how important is a right label, like especially for newcomers? What do you think?
I think it's very important because as a newcomer, especially when you release on a label that has a great reputation, then obviously you benefit from that reputation. So as human beings, let's say you're a newcomer, nobody really knows you yet. Yeah, you made some cool tracks, people like your tracks, but people trust you more when you work with a brand they already trust. So yeah, it's definitely very beneficial. But there's so many examples of people who made it without big labels and without any endorsements from big artists or something, you know, just because they made amazing music and they found a way to reach people through YouTube, to whatever, you know.
How did you start? Like, did you send your first tracks straight up to labels or just free demos, or what?
Yeah, that's what I sent. I pestered labels with my demos. I was, at some point I was printing CDs for labels to send out as demos, and I was just, I told myself, okay, I'm just gonna write down on Resident Advisor, gonna find the address of every label that kind of could fit with my music. So I printed 70 CDs and I made little letters with the CDs inside and like a little text, hey, I'm Emanuel and this is blah, blah, blah. And I found out the name of the A&R and all that stuff. And I sent out 70 CDs. And I signed nothing. But
It was expensive, but
but I got in touch with, I got some answers actually, and I got in touch with some labels, and that helped me then for future releases. I think one thing about demos is sometimes it's just good to get in touch with people, even if you don't sign something. Like you might send something out to a label and you're not even sure. You're like, I don't think it fits the label sound. But if it's really good, they might get back to you. Hey, this is really cool, but it just doesn't fit our sound. But please keep sending us music. And then you build this relationship. You get some feedback, and then at some point it works out. And so I think it's really important not to play A&R yourself, but to just, if you feel it's good and if it fits the musical world of the label, then why not just send it?
Just try it and send it out. Now, talking a lot about labels, you will launch your label next year as well, your own label. Like, what's the mission behind that? What's why? Like, first off, why?
What can we
are you
expect?
launching your own label? What's the idea, and what can we expect from it?
Yeah, I mean, who needs another label, right? Yeah, honestly, it's just I just want to do it, and I feel like it's the right time now. people always, like my managers and people, friends of mine, always said, you gotta have your own label, you gotta build your own thing, your own brand, and all that stuff. And I never felt like it was the right time, just because I felt I hadn't matured in my taste and in my sound yet. And then now I feel it's the right time, and I want to do it. I just want to have the experience of having a label, finding great music, putting it out. For me, honestly, the most important thing is to also develop new talents, or help new talents come to light. And the way we do it now is I have already quite some releases lined up from younger artists, or artists that are more unknown. And I always ask them in the beginning, are you open to feedback? Like, can we kind of have a collaborative approach to this? And I just tell them what I think they are good at and how they could get to the next level musically. And so far it's working out really well, yeah.
So you really also try to be a mentor in a musical sense and take your experience to younger artists to develop them.
Yeah.
And so, do you want to bind them to your label, or do you just want to help them to get on another level?
No, you can't bind anyone to your label. Like, it doesn't work. Like, I know very well, and I know this because I was also in this position, that people helped me. I was on some label that helped me get to a certain level, but at some point as an artist you have to make the decision, okay, maybe I need to move to another label now. So this is not my intention, but it's just my intention to help them deliver a great record for the label. And I mean, it would be amazing if they stick with the label over a longer time, and you can really build something long term, but you cannot really plan that, I think. That's not my expectation.
So music-wise, what can we expect from like the style of music? Will it be your style? How do you plan on going the direction?
It's gonna be music that I would play, or that I play in my sets. It's kind of like similar style to my own music, so melodic, clubby. But there's quite some variety in the sound actually so far. So I have one record that's quite a bit more on the techno side, like proper nasty acid track. Another one is a super sweet, like radio friendly deep house track with a piano and a nice vocal. So yeah, it's gonna have some variety, but there's gonna be like a link between all of them.
Are you still open for demos?
Of course, always.
Do you take them digitally or CD?
Please, no CDs. No CDs. I can't even play CDs anymore. Sometimes people, sometimes I get a CD and I'm like, I can't even play it anymore because my MacBook doesn't have a CD drive. Like, please send me a link.
Now, talking about shows, playing in the clubs. While walking here from the SAE, we talked a bit about like Berlin club culture and playing in clubs, and you were like, you don't like to play as much in one city. And what's been like your favorite city to play in, or your favorite area, or the favorite way? I mean, open airs in the clubs. Like, how do you like to have your shows?
All of it, really.
All of it?
Everything. Like, you don't want to miss any of those. Like, open airs are amazing. Like, it's beautiful. The sun is out, fresh air. It's during the day, also. You don't waste the next day being hungover. And clubs are also amazing, though. Sweaty dance floor is also great. Great sound system, lots of bass. And festivals are also amazing. Like, every type of event has its own energy, and everything has something special going for it, I think.
Have you tried out digital experiences, because we've yesterday we talked with some guys who created rave space, Inex space, like digital rave experiences. Have you ever been on such shows? Have you participated or are you interested? What's your take?
We had prepared like a gig inside of Minecraft.
Yeah.
Do you guys know Minecraft? I didn't even know Minecraft before.
Really?
And I couldn't get my head around the concept at first. But it was very interesting. It was this kind of inside of Minecraft. You could visit this festival which had different stages, and you could listen to music there and stuff. And I had like a pixel avatar, you know, and but somehow the programmers fucked up, and it
like
cracked.
Travis
it
Scott.
crashed or something. I think
It's like the Travis Scott concert via Fortnite.
yeah. But that worked out, no?
Oh, that was
it
pretty
was
amazing.
really
Yeah,
successful.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was like this, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
So
And it
doesn't
really
work.
did not work.
No. Like people, some weird thing. Like people couldn't log in or something, and then and there was actually a big shitstorm then online because everybody bought these tickets and nobody could
So
log
after
in.
that, you just played Minecraft then.
No, I I didn't get it, to be honest. I was like, what? No,
It's not your generation, I think.
I'm not that old, okay?
So what does the future hold? Like what does the future of Emanuel Satie look like? What have you planned?
Who knows? Who knows?
I don't know.
No, I mean, the near future is going to be, obviously, the beginning of the year is going to be the start of the label. So this is where all my energy is going into now. I have some releases planned on other labels I've been working in the past, and a lot of remixes also that I did recently are going to come out. And yeah, I'm gonna start touring again also next year, going abroad, chasing the sun and going
In the
away
open
from
airs.
the. Yeah, exactly.
Are you doing like a world tour or where going?
Yeah, it's gonna be South America, Australia, USA. Yeah, that.
The sun.
The sun, yeah, because I mean the reality right now is that everywhere in the world where there's winter, there's COVID, right? Like there are not really parties. You have a lot of restrictions, lockdowns, and everywhere there's summer, you have parties. You have stuff going on. so yeah.
So, like, a thought that just came to my mind now, really looking into the future, and what you just said absolutely makes sense. Everywhere, like, where's winter, there's COVID. Like, does this really mean that during certain times, like, the amount of DJs that can play is really limited? So, like, the total amount of DJs that can be touring completely, like, reduces? Do you get what I mean?
No.
Yeah, like I think in German it would be way easier to explain what I mean, but I can
explain German.
Nein. Wenn da im Winter viele okay. Nein, die komplette Nummer an DJs oder die komplette Anzahl an DJs wird ja im Gesamten reduziert, wenn nur noch in sonnigen Gebieten gespielt werden kann.
Yeah, I mean I think it's gonna be pretty unfair for people who don't
Smaller
have,
DJs.
Yeah, who are relying on local gigs mostly, or who haven't opened up these markets yet. Yeah, that's a sad reality, unfortunately, and yeah.
All right.
All right.
Okay, let's end on this. Let's
Yeah.
end on this positive note.
So what actually does mean happiness to you?
Sorry?
What does mean happiness to you?
Happiness.
Yeah.
Completely different.
They're completely different. Just to change the term. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like cornering myself into a way where it didn't come out. So let's move somewhere else to get this.
Okay. I just mentioned a sad fact, and now let's quickly talk about
now
happiness.
it's time for happiness.
Yeah, let's talk about happiness instead. I don't know. Happiness is a state of mind, right? You can find happiness everywhere, really. It's just kind of where the focus goes. If you focus on happy things, you're more happy. If I meditate more often, I'm more happy. If all these things. But I think also, honestly, for me personally, happiness is not even that important. It's
Okay.
because like I said, like happiness is a state of mind. So you can, no matter your situation, you can find some sort of happiness. If you play with your dog, or if you go on a nice walk, you can. If you focus on certain things, you feel happiness. But I think for me, it's more important to be content, to be kind of content and satisfied where my life is going, the way I'm holding myself, the way I'm behaving, and all that kind of stuff. So happiness is kind of a short-term thing, right? You can be happy one day and not happy the next. So that's why for me, it's everybody likes to be happy, of course, but that's not my driving force, so to speak.
All right. So we've prepared some questions, either or questions, and I would like to ask them now. Are you ready?
Yeah. Are you
Okay.
ready for it?
Okay.
Do you want to ask them?
You can like.
But you
Like
Spotify or vinyl?
Okay. Some people are gonna hate me, but I'm
You're
gonna
gonna
say Spotify now.
Okay. You can ask the audience. Spotify, you can raise the hand, and vinyl. All right, Spotify
Spotify,
and vinyl.
vinyl.
Yeah.
To
That's just either or. Spotify, if you need to choose. I mean Spotify one.
Wow, I'm very surprised. I
Yeah,
have to
me as
say.
well.
It's called possible.
USB or live set?
I mean, I don't play live anymore. I played live for 2 years, and I really didn't enjoy it, to be honest. So I'm gonna say USB. Yeah.
Ask the audience. USB and live set.
Yeah, 50-50, I think.
Oh, 50-50. The sea or the mountains?
Oh my god. Oh my god. I can't decide. Both.
Or the city.
No, I probably see. City is also good, right?
Mhm.
Let's take all three, please.
Ask the audience again. Sea. Mountains. Okay.
Okay, like
I would say 50-50 again, or
yeah,
maybe
like
C.
60-40.
Yes.
60-40.
Train or car?
Train.
Oh, really?
Definitely. I love taking the train. I stopped also inside of Germany. I stopped taking planes because one, for the climate, of course, and two, it's just so not. Even if the train ride it's longer than the plane, it's just much nicer. You get in there, you can work, you can do whatever, you can move around. I love being on the train. The good old ICE. I love it.
Props to Deutsche Bahn.
Yeah, props.
With that note, are there any questions from the audience? No?
No.
Informal questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Then, like...
Hey, what's up?
Hi.
Hey, Melly, I'm from Costa Rica. I'm just wondering, like, if you have a favorite country or place that you've played at, like, super highlight.
Oh my God, it's
Overall.
also very difficult to say. Yeah, the same answer, same boring answer. It's like every place has its own magic, but yeah, I love so many good places. I love South America. South America, for some reason, the vibe is very special. People just go crazy and at these parties. So also something I learned recently is that a lot of these music tour documentaries that you see, like when bands, Rolling Stones, whatever, do tour documentaries, they do it in South America just because people go crazy and it just looks better for the documentary, I guess. And but yeah, there's so many special places. Yeah, it would be unfair to pick one.
I have a question as well. Hi, thanks
Hi.
for the talk. I was wondering how you dealt with COVID and how it affected you. Did you have more time and space for creativity, or were you, on the other hand, kind of burned by the events? So yeah, how was it?
Both really, both really. I mean, it was very scary at first, just all the touring, all the shows disappearing out of nowhere, really. And yeah, and then obviously you kind of try to make it work. And I was in the studio a lot. I made a lot of music, and that kind of gave me structure and gave me purpose for that time, for sure. But I have to say, looking back at it now and listening to all the stuff I made, it wasn't that great, honestly, the music that I made. And I think it was just because, I mean, I make dance music, and when you're not playing out, when you're not in these surroundings, when you're not in clubs regularly, you kind of lose that feeling for what is needed on a dance floor. So I still spin it in a positive way because I learned a lot about production, about myself, how to structure my day, ideally, whatever. But yeah, the music that I made there was, at least for clubs, it was not that good. Yeah, but all in all, I think I'm gonna look back at that time. Now it's really annoying still, and also now approaching lockdown again here, it's really annoying. But I think at some point I'm gonna look back and say that was an important time for me in my life. Yeah.
So I got another short question for you, hooking up to what you said about Minecraft earlier, Minecraft raves, and it's also matching a little bit with what you said about COVID, because during the last year I was also playing some gigs in virtual reality and in games, and I found it to be a trend right now because we are all in lockdown, or we was in heavy lockdown all over the world, but people were creating virtual dance floors, virtual events. Do you think this will have an impact on the future of how rave music, or how dance music in general will be perceived? Because obviously COVID gonna have a social impact on long term, and people get more in the virtual world, especially with the new technology.
Yeah.
Do you think this has promoted a change, a long-term change for how dance music is perceived?
Yeah, actually, I do think because everybody's used to streaming now. Everybody's used to also buying tickets online for online events, right? And I think it's actually it's gonna open up a whole new market now for a lot of festivals, a lot of events. One, you have the physical event where people can attend to, but then you can also sell tickets online for people who can attend the event online. So all of a sudden you have a much bigger market. You can reach many more people, and I think it's gonna become kind of a dual thing more now. That I don't think streams, even when the physical parties are back to normal 100%, I don't think streams and virtual events are going to disappear. So I think it's going to be a dual thing. And anyways, life is moving more and more online and more into the virtual realm. So I think there's going to be a lot of interesting things happening. Yeah.
And do you feel it to be a good thing? Like,
Yeah.
if we look forward 20 years and most parties are actually taking place in virtual reality and not anymore in the real space, do you think that is like a positive direction, or do you feel like, oh no, this is not the real vibe?
I just can't imagine that it's gonna be either or. I think it's gonna be both, because at a real party you can actually meet people. You can get drunk. It's weird getting drunk at home, you know. And,
Yeah, you can
and
do it as
play.
well. When I was playing live set in VR chat, it was super great because you have the avatars and everybody was drinking in their homes, and then you had virtual bottles and virtual glow sticks, and I was like, yeah, cheers, mate, cheers, with people from Russia, with people from the United States, and with people from Europe all together, and we drank together and had a lot of fun.
Okay.
So it's also possible. It
It
just
works,
feels
okay.
different.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I still think that, like, actually going to a club, actually going to a party, can probably not be replaced totally, because for one thing, the music, like, you really, in a club with a dedicated sound system, you really feel the music in a different way that a headphone cannot, even if it's great headphones, it cannot replicate that. Like, you can physically feel the bass in your pants, you know, and also you can flirt with people, you can meet new people, you can all this element is also there. So I think people are always gonna want to go out also, but I think it's going to be both, really, and that's great to hear that you had so much fun and that you met so many people from all around the world. You know, that can only be a good thing, right?
Hi. So I also got a question for you. Like, as a music artist and like a normal person, like we all, I'm just wondering how like important are like those two parts for your everyday life in terms of inspiration. Like, there's like this club setting and artist life, like this kind of inspiration and atmosphere, and on the other hand, there's like this everyday life setting, and you listening to music when you're like normally listen to it during the day. So what is like, if you could decide between those two worlds, what would you prefer, or what do you think is like more inspiring for you? Is it like this one specific like club situation and this whole nightlife universe, or is it like the everyday life, because it's like a completely different origin of inspiration?
I think for club music, the club experience is important. It's an important input, but obviously we get inspired by everything, like, yeah, life, the way we feel also, you know. And for me, it's a strange thing. I rarely get inspired. Like, I rarely have this eureka moment where I'm just watching TV and there's this ad and the melody of the ad inspires me to write this symphony or something. For me, inspiration always came through working, through sitting in the studio, trying stuff, experimenting, and just kind of digging myself into it. So I don't know. I think it's also a mix of everything. Everything's important. For me, inspiration is at the studio, and all the other stuff works more on a subconscious level.
Hey, so who have been the artists that you've been mostly like looking up to, or that have been inspiring you the most over your career?
As a DJ, Sven Feth. Yeah, Sven Feth made me fall in love with techno, and also the way he DJs, the way he programs his set. This kind of journey thing where sometimes he starts with like a 120 BPM deep house track, vocals, and then he ends up like super banging techno at the end of his set. So this is something I really like, and that inspired me also for my DJ sets. And producers, honestly, so many, and it's changing all the time. So yeah, I can't single one out really. Yeah.
Hi. My question is, do you have any tips to the people who want to start creating music but don't know where to start?
Don't know where to start?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's in the beginning. It's the most important to have fun, and to kind of in a playful way learn the technical side of it, and yeah, not put too much pressure on yourself. The more fun you have in the beginning, the more you're gonna want to do it just naturally, and the quicker you get better at it. And when you get better at it, when you start to find your own voice, when people are responding to your music in a positive way, it's just gonna enforce that even more, and then you're gonna make even more music and get even better faster. And I think in the beginning it's really all about being curious, like having an open mind, trying to learn as much as you can, and just having fun, really experimenting, not with the first time you open Ableton. Don't try to make a hit, you know. try to have fun and explore, you know. I would say that's the most important thing in the beginning.